Hello, good afternoon, dear Shipowner. It's 12th November 2020. This coronavirus is changing the way we used to do crewing, and before it was more the policy of one nationality, ratings, officers, different fleets, different nationalities, and now it is becoming like a paella. And so it is, as a friend of mine says, United Nations nationalities. Why is it so? Well, it is becoming very difficult because coronavirus to organize one nationality joining. Sometimes it is not possible because, for example, last week we had this hurricane in the Caribbean, and now there is a new coronavirus PCR tests from next week in Spain. 65 countries need to have 72 hours PCR tests, and it is becoming harder and harder and harder to plan, replan. There is no flights. There is no 72 hours. The ship arrives a bit late, a bit early. So it is becoming quite complicated. It was a tendency that we were experiencing before, although perhaps until now we did not really have the cause. Where was the risk? How could we evaluate the risk? And suddenly, those ship owners having multinational crew then have gone through this coronavirus much better than those that had just one, two, three nationalities. So then adapt is the word I would say today, as well as digital companies have grown so much in stock value. The risk of having few nationalities has grown high. It has accelerated, and we have to cope and focus into thinking what is the crew management company guaranteeing elimination of risk. How could I now use crew management companies like Candina to help your fleet? How can I cope if I have all one nationality? But of course, I don't want to lose the grip into my crew because they have the matrix, the human resource policy of rank, ship, type of ship, experience, and company experience, the matrix of the tankers. And how can I play both and adapt to a crew management company? We have plenty expansion in Candina. Before it was 50%, now it's 100%, and probably before Christmas it will be even much higher because Christmas is always special in shipping. And how can I adapt to these changes? Well, my recommendation to avoid risk is not to lose the control of the experienced crew, of course. That's first of all. Second, I need a partner like a crew manager that has a database of above 100,000 seafarers. I need to inform the crew manager as soon as possible because the availability of these 100,000 seafarers, we can start selecting, pre-selecting, interviewing, making human resources policies, verifications, and audits of checklists. I mean, it's not so easy if we have to target 50 ships and then 5% fill in the gaps because these logistics we cannot field today is becoming more and more and more complicated. And the tendency is that before the change of risk was going like this slow, it's like same digital companies in the stock exchange like Amazon and Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, and so on. Then they did start growing, but with the coronavirus they went so fast, and the tendency is that this digital disruption in crew management also will be very fast. We are experiencing this 100% growth, and we expect to even go 150. And why? Because we have declared with ship owners that in order to keep the value of the human resources that the hero seafarers have and officers, then we must adapt to uniting our database and huge supply source of different nationalities and start with this 5% supply and then growing to 10, 15%. Why? Because then the demand will not be there because this disruption into policy of 2 nationalities towards 20 nationalities is happening everywhere. Therefore, we at the sea are showing always show how to adapt, but we don't really care what the show do. We just have to be leaders, as always with you, dear ship owner, but not lose the train. We must not lose the ship. And so the sooner we start to plan this change to avoid risk, the better. We will always have more risks in the engine side. Always we will have more risks in the electrician side. Always we will have more risks in the cook side. Always we will have more risks, etc., etc. Maritime supply and demand has been as is for many years and will be the same. But the more we start to prepare, prevent, and this is a lesson that coronavirus has shown us. We were not prepared. We did not ask until next week in Spain all travelers to have PCR test 72 hours, blah, blah, blah. Of course, if we had done this in the 20th of March, first video, coronavirus and cruise situation I made, you can see these videos, then we would have had stopped this coronavirus. Now, this is what I'm trying to express, or we could say teach in these ship crew management policies, is that if we prevent, if we unite our pools, our forces, the know-how of the crew you, the ship owner, have, and the seafarers, plus the pool we have in this digital artificial intelligence world, like this YouTube video is a very artificial and is very intelligent video because you are listening to it, dear ship owner. So therefore, if we had prevented this 20th of March or 13th of March that coronavirus started in Spain, now the 12th of November, which is exactly 8 months later, we would not have had 1.5 million or 1.3 million cases of coronavirus plus 40,000 dead. Of course, this is how sure humans work. We at sea knew that we had to adapt to multinational United Nations crane. We had to adapt. Now we are doing it by uniting your forces and strengths and ours. We have to pool, and this is the way my recommendation to avoid risk, because we never know what country will put more constraints for traveling, for flights, if the flights are empty one way and full the other. So tomorrow we might not be able to make this crew relief, and then we must unite. And we have very competitive 2% agency fees for the fleets. And but if we plan with 60 days, then 30 days it could be possibility. And then we can start to help your fleet to work in the long term with zero risk. And this is a recommendation video about Adapt, dear ship owner, because this digital stock exchange growth of, let's say, 100% in the stock exchange in the last 6 months or 9 months. For example, no, since June, so it's June, July, August, September, October, November, 6 months. So this 6 months stock exchange acceleration, digital disruption, then also we can use this same digital disruption, artificial intelligence video, because if we adapt and have more nationalities of crew, then we can survive and keep the cost and keep the know-how of the crew. And this is very important. It was before, and also it was the change for towards United Nations crew management, but now this has gone very, very fast. By the time Christmas arrives in 1 month, then probably it will be much faster, the crew requirements. But perhaps if we don't plan together, we don't prevent, like I mentioned, coronavirus, should had we made these tests PCR, everybody entering in Spain 13th of March, not the 12th of November, 8 months later, we would not have had 40,000 dead, nor we would not have had 1.3 or 1.4 million infections and the economy locked. So then we at shipping must realize what things show do good and bad, but we don't really care what they do. We must care our focus. Our focus, dear ship owner, is to adapt fast. We have a huge database. You can study all the videos we have in Candina, about 200 or something and growing. We have all nationalities, seafarers available, but we must plan. It's not so easy to get in this digital means video interview of chief engineer, of second engineer, of electrician, of captain, chief officer, even the whole crew, because we have to set different times. We have to verify the Wi-Fi that works well, everything is in order, and it's not as it was before, that just making a room interview of 100 seafarers done for a year. Now that's not the case. Now this is digital disruption to crew management and huge database. But we have to unite our strengths, and this is how it is going to work, because ship owners do have a huge amount of very good and very experienced hero seafarers for hero ship owners. But when we talk about making diversity of crew management, then it is not so easy. Then you need the help of huge database that for every area can tailor this crew management selection. So thank you very much indeed for your time. Bye.